Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dive into the world of corporate filings. Today we are looking at a fund, not quite as exciting as a tech company, but still the numbers might surprise you, or maybe not. This time we are decoding the semi-annual report for the Columbia New York Intermediate Municipal Bond Fund. This report covers their performance for about 6 months, from November of 2024 to April of 2024 to April of 2025. We will see where their money is, how they are doing, and what could affect them. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you are subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below if you want to discuss. To start, this fund is all about municipal bonds, specifically those issued in New York. Municipal bonds are basically loans to cities, states, and other local governments to fund projects. This fund is designed to give investors exposure to that market, but it is not guaranteed and can lose value. The report gives some basic information about the fund's costs. For the Class A shares for a $10,000 investment, the cost was $37. This equals to 0.74 the institutional class shares. For a $10,000 investment, the cost was $24,000 investment, the cost was $24, or 0.49%. For institutional 2 class, it was $22, or $0,000 investment, the cost was $24, or the cheapest at just $20, or 0.45%, and the institutional 2 class, it was the cheapest at just $20, or 0.49%. For institutional 2 class, it was 2020 NORS, or 0.45%. And the institutional 2 class, it was $22 or 0.45%. And the institutional 2 class, it was $22 or 0.445%. And the institutional 3 class was the cheapest at just $20. The report also breaks down key stats. The fund has about $9, which means 100 different investments, and their portfolio turnover is around 5%. Portfolio turnover is around 5%. Portfolio turnover is how often the fund buys and sells its investments, so 5% is low. Here are some of their biggest investments based on percentage of the fund's total assets. These are the bonds from different authorities within New York. The New York State Dormitory Authority bond maturing in 2026 accounts for 3.0% of the holdings. Also, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority bond maturing in 2026 accounts for 3.0%, and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey bonds maturing in 2034 is 2.9%. Next are other assets broken down into categories. Special tax bonds are at 15.1%, local general obligation bonds make up 12.4%, and higher education bonds are at 8.6%. Municipal power bonds comprising 6.8%, and hospital bonds stand at 5.5%, and slightly lower allocations are noted in transportation with 5.6%, turnpike, drawbridge, tramway bonds at 4.9%, air transportation with 5.6%, municipal power bonds comprising 6.8%, and hospital bonds stand at 5.5%. Awfully lower allocations are noted in transportation with 5.6%, turnpike, drawbridge to 4 road bonds at 4.9%, air transportation bonds account for 3.7%, and tobacco bonds are at 3.5%. Looking at credit quality, they try to buy safe bonds. AAA rated ones constitute 53% of the portfolio, AA rated are approximately 29.2%, and A rated ones are 16.4% sound. This means that approximately 98.6% are considered very safe. The report talks about how they value their investments, also called fair value measurements. They put the investments into 3 levels. Level 1 is based on prices in active markets which are not used. Level 2 is based on similar securities. The vast majority of their investments are placed into this level at $86.4 million, and level 3 are based on their own assumptions. If there were any, they have not been disclosed. This is their financial snapshot. Their total assets are $90 on, so what is left is $89.3 million in net assets. These assets are applicable to different stock classes of the fund class A, institutional class, institutional 2 class, and institutional 3 class, and institutional thrice, institutional 2 class, and institutional 2 class, and institutional 3 class. Okay, let's scroll into their income statement. The fund had $1.2 million in income, and subtracting expenses, their net investment income was around $1.2 million. But they had net realized losses of around $776,000 from their investments. So altogether, their net increase in assets from what they do was just $6,345. The fund saw a decrease in net assets from sales and redemptions of fund stocks. It decreased their net assets by $8.8 million. Combining that with their gains from operations, the fund decreased by $10 million. Compared to last year, this fund is smaller at $89.3 million compared to around $99.4 million last year. These are the details for the shares. Here's some high-level numbers. For Class A, the net asset value at the beginning for the last 6 months was $11.89 and during this period. The total return percentage was approximately 0.7% during this period, during this 7% during this period. For the institutional class, the net asset value at the beginning of the last 6 months was all Oz 6 months was $11.89 during this period as well. The total return percentage was approximately 0.5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5% during this period. For both of these classes, the portfolio turnover was 5%. So what is the overall picture with this fund? The fund is mainly invested in safe New York municipal bonds. Their returns weren't great because they had losses and share redemptions. The main story here is its safety focus, which may appeal to some investors. It appears to be a reliable asset, so the main factor to consider is the overall size drop. It's something to maybe keep in mind, but otherwise it appears to be a standard report. And alright, that's our breakdown of this fund's latest finding. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the fund's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and please subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.